recorded now, so obviously, and I'll send a link to Donna later so people can reference to the this meeting afterwards. So the plan for today is to look at how to use clinical skills as a manager, to have a look at the way you can add and remove users to the teams that you manage, and also run reports on the various activities of the people in the teams. So we go through, I presume most of you have had some experience looking at clinical skills, at least from a personal point of view. You've had a look at the guides and other bits and pieces. So I won't go through those particularly, apart from to say that as a manager, you still have access to your profile, the guides themselves, so you can still go in, look at all the clinical guides that we've got on the system there, and use them as a personal person. Use them individually, the same as any user can. You've got your assessment, so you can go in, you can take assessments the same as a user can as well. And you've also got the ability to look at your performance and also to record your own CPD activity. And that's all going to be personal to you, regardless of whether you're a manager or not. Now, just to say a little bit about the roles on the system, there's 3 types of role on the system. There's the manager role, which I've already mentioned. There's a super user role. Now, a super user can look at all the users in the organization, look at all the teams of users, add and remove users to any team, and run reports on everyone. As a manager, you'll only be able to see the people in 1 or more teams. You may just have 1 team that you manage, or you may have several. You'll only be able to look at those users, add, remove users to those teams, and then also run reports on those users. So what we'll start to do now we've sort of just covered the ones that are available to you individually. Firstly, are there any questions on that? Have people got a basic sort of familiarity with the guides and the assessments and things? Okay, great. So the thing I will say at this point is...
I've got a question, please.
Yes. Yeah,
sorry.
Sure.
You said about managers having access to 1 or more teams.
Yep.
So that's the possibility, is it?
Yes, yeah, as a manager,
okay.
you can, there's no limit on the number of teams you can manage.
Okay.
In fact, we had, sorry, go on.
So if I wanted my deputy to see as well, are they allowed access to the same team, or are you only allowed 1 person?
No, you can have as many managers for a team as you want, and you can manage as many teams as you want. So a lot of organizations, they'll have, 2 or 3 managers. You may have a manager for each individual team, and then you may want a manager over the top who can manage all, say, 5 teams. But yeah, it's very easy to do. I'll show you how to add the additional manager roles when we come to add users. But yeah, and as I say, you'll then have the ability to run reports and add users to those teams. You don't want to sort of go too mad and have, lots and lots of managers. Really, in terms of data protection, only people who need to see user records should have access to those records. That's the sort of basic rule there. Okay, any other questions at that point, or shall I plow on? The thing I was going to say is that if you've got questions later on that come up, by all means contact me directly, steve@clinicalskills.net. I'm quite happy, for you to email us directly, and if you've got any problems, let me know. I'm always happy to jump on Teams, have a quick chat about dealing with any particular problems you've got when it actually comes to managing your teams and making changes. Okay, so you've got that backup as well. So going through, I'm going to come back to the reports in a moment. The first thing I'm going to do is look at team management and user management. Now, if I go into team management, I'm signed in here as a manager, and I'm set up to manage 2 teams. So when I come into team management, I can only see those 2 teams. I can't see any of the other teams on the system. I can, within those teams, I can come across and I can look at the accounts in the team. So I can click on the associated accounts, click view all, and then it will show me all the users in the that particular team, the Daisy House team. They're all listed down here, and you can also get into this area by going directly to the user management tile. You don't have to come through Teams. You can come straight in through the user management area and then pick the team you want to look at and search for it there. And this is where you're going to be adding and deleting any of your users you want to add to the team or remove, and where you're going to be making any changes to the users in the team. So just at this stage, just very quickly go through how to add a user to a team. Once you've found the team, just click on the Add Account button, and then you just simply go through, put the first name, last name, the username. Now, I think the new policy at Ramsay is that you use the work address, the Ramsay address, email address, as the username as well as for the email address. Is that right, Donna? Yeah. So you put the Ramsay Health email address in as a user and also as the email address. Then once you've done that, now this says Sandy Banks. This is just my demonstration organization. This will obviously say Ramsay Health for you. What you need to do then is decide what role you want them to have on the system. Now, as a manager, you can only add users. If you want to add another manager, you'll need to do that as a super user. So you'd need to go to Donna or one of the other super users to ask to add additional managers. The idea again is that from a data protection point of view, you can only really manage those levels below you. So a super user can add managers, managers can add users, but you can't add the same to the same level. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, as I say, technically it's possible to be manager of more than one team, but you'll need to either ask a super user in your organization to set that up or come back to me and I can set it up from this end. So what you do is you've got your user role there. You then pick which team you want to put them in. And in this case, I'm managing 2 teams. So let's say I want to put them into Ward 12. So I select that, click change, and then at the bottom, we can see what role they've got on the system. Now, if you try and save a user without assigning a role, you'll get a little error message at the top to say that you need to assign a role. If you want to change them to another team, you can just delete that, select another team, and then select change. And there we are, they're in the other team. And then select activate account when you're ready. Now, what will happen when you click activate account, an email will go out to the email address you put in here, directly to the user. And that email address will include a link for them to click. And when they click that link, it confirms that the email account is valid, and it asks them to create a new password for their account. So you will never know what their password is. They can reset their own passwords if they want, but the responsibility for setting that and remembering it is obviously up to them. Does that make sense in terms of adding a user? Okay, any questions at that point? The other thing I will say is if you find you've got a lot of users to add, say you're setting a new team up and you've got 40 or 50 users, if you want, we have the ability at our end to run imports of users as a bulk import. So if you've got a long list of people that you want to upload, put them in a spreadsheet with the first name, last name and email, send them to us and we can upload them for you rather than having to go through and do each one individually. So that might save you a little bit of time on that front. While I'm here, if you want to delete a user, the way to do that is on the user management screen, find the user, and you can find them by searching for a particularly, their name. So for example, if I look for Liberty, it's one of the names on the system, you can find them that way, or you can just find them by looking down the user list. And if you want to delete someone, click on the box on the left-hand side here. Now, if you watch over on the right here, as I click the box, a new actions button appears, and that's where you will actually cancel the account. So if I wanted to say cancel these 3 accounts or 4 accounts, I just click down here, come across, hover over the actions button, cancel accounts, and then I can select to either deactivate it, which means you'll still see it on the list, but they won't be able to access their account, or to delete it altogether, in which case it will disappear from your lists and you won't be able to see the account anymore. Just to say, if you do that, don't panic if you do that accidentally. We can recover those accounts from this end. And the reason we do that is that if one of your users moves on to another organization that also subscribes to Clinical Skills, we can move their account across to that other organization. And the same if someone comes from a, say, university that subscribes to Clinical Skills to you, we can move their account across. So any assessments they've taken and CPD records will come over as well. Does that all make sense? Okay, so far. As I say, you're always welcome to come back and ask questions if there's any problems there. Now, the other thing you can do, if I go back to the dashboard and go back to Teams, is you can change what your teams see, what guides and what assessments the people in your teams are actually having access to. So maybe if you've got 2 teams, say one's registered nurses and one's HCAs or something like that, you may have a different need for what guides those users should see. Now, the way to change that is in the team management page. look at the team you want, come across to the right, and then on the actions button, you can select standard guide overview, standard assessment overview, or local assessment overview, and change which of those your users see. Just to say the difference between standard assessments and local assessments. Standard assessments are the ones that we built at Clinical Skills, and they're available to all our clients. Local assessments are any assessments that your organisation has built just for users within Ramsay. So that's, and that is an option for you. You do have the ability to build local assessments, and that's something you can do as a manager as well if there's particular need for an assessment that's not covered by the ones we've already got in the system. So if, for example, going back to Daisy House, say for example you want to exclude some of the guides so they can't see them, come across here, click on Standard Guide Overview. You then pick the appropriate section, and there's various sections of guides. So we're looking at the adults guides here. If you want to change section, change to healthcare assistance or whatever, select it in here and click filter. We're looking at adults, and say for example with the Daisy House team, we didn't want them to see any bowel care guides. So what we would do is we can just come across and turn all the bowel care guides off. Or you can go down and be more individual. So we might look at catheterization and say we don't need them to know about changing a suprapubic. So you can turn that off. So that means that when they go into their guides area, those guides just won't appear for them. When you've made any changes, click Save. Enter a description of what changes you've made. This is just so later on, if anyone is coming back, they can see who made any changes to the content allocation and why they did it. So we'll just put, I don't know, we put tidy up guides or whatever you want to put in there that's going to be useful later on. Make sure you click this box to make sure that all the accounts in the team have the content changed. And then you simply click Submit and click OK. And that means that anyone from Daisy House, when they go in to look at the adult guides, won't see that one, won't see any of the bowel care or transfusion guides. Does that make sense? Yep, okay. The other thing I would say is there is a help area on the website. There's a help button at the top. If you go into that, with the content, and there's various topics at the bottom, the altering content available to teams and individual accounts, there is a video in there and also quite a detailed document. So if you want to, you can obviously have a look at that to actually see how you can use that function, or as I say, come back to me here. Okay, so that's the team function. If you do manage more than one team, you can also look at both of those teams or all your teams at one go, rather than having to come across and look at them individually, using these buttons at the top of the screen. So here, if I click Standard Guide Overview, I see both the teams I manage, and I can go in and change the content allocation all at once. So I could make cardio care, turn it off for that team, but leave it on for that team. So again, you've got the ability just to do that very quickly. If you manage more than one team, that can make it a little bit easier. And the same applies for the standard assessments. So if I look at standard assessments here, so these are the tests on the system that the users can see. And the way it works is that our assessments are linked to our guides. So if a person can't see a particular guide, they won't see the assessment on it. So for example, if they can't see any guides to do with catheterization, they won't be able to see any assessments about catheterization, because obviously the assessments are based on the guides. So if they can't see the guides in the first place, that sort of makes it a bit academic. And again, you can come in here and you can turn on and off whatever assessments you want by clicking these boxes. And you can see here, I turned the guides off for bowel care and transfusion for Daisy House, so they don't have the option to see the assessments related to them. So those tick boxes are missing. Is that okay? It can get a bit technical, a bit involved, but does that make some sort of sense? Hopefully, yep, there we go. So again, come back to me if you have any problems with those issues. So that's team management. If you want to make a change to the team in terms of changing its name, you can do that through the edit function here. So just go in, make a change to the team name. If you want to move someone between a team, you can do it as I showed you before. Open their user profile and then move them, with those roll boxes at the bottom of the screen. Or another way of doing it, if you want to look at the associated accounts for a team, and say you want to move the top 3 into one of your other teams, just select them here, and then under this new actions button that comes up, you can transfer teams. You can click on that, and then you can move them into another team all in one go. So that could be useful if you've got people. You might want to, for example, create a team specifically for people who are doing a certain training, and then move your users into that team, and then you could allocate whatever content they need for that training, and then you can move them back to their main team when they're finished. Users can only be in one team at a time, though. That's the limiting factor there. Okay, so going back to the dashboard, we've looked at the team management, user management area. The next big area to look at is the reports. Now, as a manager, as I said at the start, you can run reports on the teams that you manage, but only on those teams. And there's a number of different reports that you can run. So going to the reports area, the first one is the assessments report. Go into here, you can either run filters, so you could actually look at a particular individual, or you could have a look at a particular team, but I'm just going to view all here and see all the assessments on the system. And what this gives you is a list of all the assessments that have been taken on the system by all your users. Now, this one, because this is my demonstration account, I've only really got 1 or 2 users on it, but normally you would see all the different users on the system in your teams who've taken assessments. You can see how they've done. Obviously, you can see the assessment title, whether they're in the middle of doing it, whether they've completed it, how they're doing. The other thing you can do as well is you can come across here. You can view the answers to any assessments they're taking. So if you've got an individual and you're worried that they're having problems on a particular assessment, you can come in and actually look at the answers they put to give you some idea of where they're going wrong. Now, in a lot of these cases, these haven't been answered, but if I come back to the assessments report and if I have a look at something else, if I look at this one here, which is passed, I can go in here and I can see what answers the users put, whether they failed any, whether they've got any problems with understanding. The other thing you can do is if someone's passed an assessment, you can download their certificate. I don't know when you know, but if you take an assessment yourself and you passed it, you can often download a pass certificate to show you that you've actually completed it. As a super user, you can come in and you can do the same. You can download their certificates. So if I just do that, it should come up there. You can also download the certificates they've done as well. So you've got those for your records if you would like. Now, a lot of organizations like to use our assessments possibly in preparation for some face-to-face training. A lot of them say, well, you have to complete this assessment, then bring the certificate along with you before you can actually do the face-to-face training. So that may be something that you want to do. You can filter that by date. You can click on here, you can pick a date range, so from there to the 25th or whatever, search on that. As I say, you can actually filter down to particularly individual users, and then you can download whatever you filtered for as a report. You download it as what's called a CSV, which basically means it opens in Excel or any other spreadsheet program. So you can keep that record there as well. Any questions on that? Okay.
I've got a question,
Yeah.
Steve. I think you might have already said this, but on the filters, can you filter down on a specific course? So, for example, if I wanted to look at all my users and download a report on whether or not they had completed the catheterization assessment, for example, can I do that? So can I filter down by course and then run the report?
That's the thing. So if I take the catheterization one, they just copy it. You've got lots of different things. You can search by username, first name, last name, email, assessment reference number, which is the number here, but also assessment title. So if I paste that in there, and then I've got a date range and I run search, there we go. So it's just pulled out catheterization. And as I say, you can enter several of these at the same time. So in this case, you could look for, Allison catheterization assessments, or you could look for just one team and see how they've done on the catheterization assessments. So yeah, you can apply all of these at the same time. You can also look by the result. So you can have a look and basically see if anyone's passed the catheterization in Daisy House, which they haven't. So you can run filters on pretty much anything there. And as I say, you also have the option to download the whole lot as a CSV, so you can do additional playing around with in Excel if you've got a lot of data.
And what about the date then for that? Sorry, my eyesight isn't great and I can't quite see what it says there.
Sorry,
So you need to put a date range in, is that correct?
yeah, the way it works is if you go into here with the assessments report, you've got the started date. You see, there's two parts here. You can have someone may start an assessment on, most of the assessments are not timed. So they might start an assessment today, but not actually finish it until end of the month or something. So you can search on either the started date or the completed date. So for example, here, if I look at the completed date, and obviously this only applies to ones that have been completed, and I look at this one here on the 5th. So yes, you come in here, you would pick the start date. So say, for example, you pick that as a start date, and then you can move around the months, change them around, and then pick a finish date. And that gives you a range, and then run the search on that. Does that make sense?
Right. That does make sense. So you would be able to run a report then for the previous year, for example.
Oh yes, yeah, you could go back and do the whole year. The way you do that is you basically change this to 25. There's lots of different ways of changing the year. And then you pick the 1st of January, and then I'd probably click there, go to December, and then pick the 31st. And there we are, you've got the whole year, run search, and that should give you everyone that's taken on here. And say again, it's all, because it's my test one, there's 63 attempts there. You can have a look back through and see who's done what. And as I say, unfortunately, it's because it's my test account, they all come out as Alison on this one here because it's the manager one. So, but yeah, normally you would see all your users who've taken tests within that time period. So is that okay? I've made the screen a little bit bigger now. I've blown the text up a bit. So sorry, I should have asked to start with if that was big enough for everyone. But I've had meetings. I know I had one where I was trying to do a demonstration. There was someone was on a phone and someone was on a massive screen. So it was impossible getting the right size. So, but such is life. So there you go. So going back to the reports, there's a few other reports you can generate. Recent activity. If you go into the recent activity report, you can basically see every page on the website that your users have visited. Again, you can filter down by particular users, particular dates, and you can download the whole thing to open in Excel. But it does mean if you want to see exactly what pages Alison's been looking at, you can look back here. And you get the URL for the page that she's actually been viewing. And these are the pages related to the reports that we've just looked at. So you get those there. I don't know if I've got anyone else set up in this team I can actually look at. Let me just try see if there's anyone else. I don't think I have. I need to get someone else set up. No, so normally you'd be able to search for a name there and see what a person had been doing on the system, which can be very useful if you've got someone who says that they've looked at a guide or done something. You can actually go on and just check to see what they've actually been doing on the system. And so again, you can download that as a CSV file. Going on. Content updates. This is to do with if you do end up building local assessments on the system. So these are local tests. And if you do that, you might want to check back and see who's made changes to those local assessments recently. The reason being that you may start work on a local assessment, another manager or a super user might then also make a change as well. And this just gives you a track of what changes have been made on the system. So that can be useful once you get into that. Content usage, this can be quite interesting. You come in, again, you can filter by particular teams, or you can just look at everyone, or you can go down to particular content type or first name, last name. But what it does basically, it shows you what people have been looking at on the system. Now, when you don't open this, you can click the columns here to sort them by high to low or low to high. And you can see here, for example, routine hand hygiene is the guide that's been looked at most often in this organisation. The reason of that is because I tend to use that when I'm doing demonstrations to trusts and quite a few other organisations, because obviously routine hand hygiene is a very important issue across lots of different organisations. Verification of expected death. We've had quite a few inquiries from hospices recently, so that's a guide I've been demonstrating on there. So you can get a feel for what's actually been used in your organisation. Going back to reports as well. The next one is top visitors, and I think there's a problem with this one. Yeah, I tried this yesterday, and I've got to report this to IT. What this should show as a manager, I'll go in as a super user. Yeah, the thing to say at that point is if you do notice any bugs with the website or any content that doesn't look quite right or anything that you feel needs updating, do let us know, because we're always happy to get feedback. Certainly with the guides, sometimes you may become aware of changes to clinical guidelines before we do. So we're always happy to get feedback. And if you do get any error messages, let us know straight away. We launched this new site just over a year ago, and I think we worked most of the bugs out, but there's just odd one or two cropping up. So you know what these things are like. So if I go back into reports as a super user, what you'll get when that's working properly and you come into top visitors, you'll just get basically a list of the people on the system and how many times they've actually accessed the site. So in this case, Alison Kirkson is the demonstration user I'm using now, so she's seen most of the pages, and then Jim is another person I use for demonstration sometimes, so he's next. So that can be just a good view of getting an idea of who's on the system the most. And the final report we've got is what we call a training overview. What this is related to the online assessments. If you pick a particular team, for example, and I've got one here, just a test team, and click search, you get a coloured interface which shows you a key. I can open the key here, which shows you basically with the assessments, people who've passed an assessment, people who are taking the assessment, those who failed, and loads of other criteria. Now, the thing, if you do start developing local assessments, you can add an expiry date to them. So a lot of organizations have set up assessments that their users have to take, say, on an annual basis, just to be able to show that they are keeping up to date and keeping their skills up to date in that system. So that might be something you want to look at as an organization. This report, you can see all the way across, you can very easily see who's not started an assessment. So, for example, with the medicine calculations ones, Arthur and Eshen, how do you say that? Eshen? That person, they haven't even started it yet. So these are just random names I got off the internet. So I didn't check them for readability to start with. You can see that people have not even started the assessment. So that might be good to identify, who needs to sort of do a little bit more. You can download this report, but it downloads as an Excel file. The previous one download as basically text. This one comes down as an Excel file, so that when you open it, all this color coding will still be there, which makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on. So that's the reports function. Any questions on those? By all means, go and have a play on there. You won't do any damage running reports. Because you're just drawing data from the system. Obviously, you have to remember this is confidential data, so work within your organization's data protection details, obviously. So I think we've covered most of the main things as a manager. I'm just going to zoom out slightly so we get three tiles. In terms of what else you can do, there is the content management area, which you by all means have a look at. This is where you go to build any local assessments. So if you wanted to build tests on the system, you would do it in this area. Now, if this is something that becomes something you want to do or you're asked to do, by all means come back to me and we'll go through and actually do specific training on building assessments. I mean, very crudely, how it works is you have an assessment, and within that assessment, you have a number of questions, and each of those questions are in question banks. So you might have, for example, we've got 3 guides on sepsis. So you'll have one bank of questions based around identifying sepsis, another bank of questions based around the second guide, which is, managing, and then I can't remember what the third guide's around. So you'll have banks of questions based around a particular guide, and then when you build an assessment, you say to the assessment, well, I want 3 questions from that question bank, 2 from there, and 3 from there, and that makes up the assessment. So it's quite an involved process, but if you want to do that, then we're very happy to go through training. And often what we do with that is give you like an introductory session, then get you started on actually building them. And then when you're ready, a week or two later, come back and actually go over any problems you've hit and how you deploy it to your teams. So by all means, have a look at that. You can come into the questions here. When you build a local assessment, you can include our questions. You can use our standard questions, or you can make your own questions up. There's about 11,000 questions on the system already. So by all means, have a look through those. You can filter them down by particular subjects. So for example, say we look at catheterization, you can filter down and you can see what questions are already on the system about catheterization. And we got 281. So that may or may not be useful for you, but if you do start getting involved with that, it's a very good way of building assessments that are particularly applicable to your staff. Okay, what's left really? I think that's pretty much everything as a manager. I suspect most of what you do will be in user management, adding and deleting users or moving them between teams. Were you happy with that, adding and deleting users, or would you like me just to go over that again, because that's going to be your main thing? It's okay. As I say, you can always come back to me or probably Donna if there's any particular problems with that and you need some help. And as I said before, if you find yourself having to upload a lot of users, let me know. I can send you a template and then just put them into a spreadsheet and we'll do it from this end. I think that's about it really. Donna, anything else you wanted me to cover which I've missed?
No, I think the main things are really at the minute is just everybody having a look at their own manager's access, having a look at making sure that all your direct reports are in your team. And then, and assigning, if you do want to assign another manager to be like a deputy, Amy mentioned earlier, then you'd need to raise a case on Workday Help, and then we would do that for you. So if you've got a deputy and you want to assign them with manager access for your team, then just raise that case and we'll do that for you. And that's a pretty quick process.
It is.
The other
just show you as for a super user, it's very easy. You can just come down to the bottom, find the user concerned. As a super user, you have the ability to add a manager, and you can be say manage as many teams as you want, and it's just a matter of clicking them down here and doing that. And again, just delete them when you've finished that. Okay, sorry to interrupt, Donna.
No, that's fine, Steve. And then we did ask for one person within each unit to have access to everybody. So there is one person at the minute that will have access to everybody in your unit. So they are, although they're not a super user, they're in effect a super user at site level, if that makes sense. The other thing I just wanted to mention, and is it okay if I share my screen just for a second?
Remember, it's being recorded. That's the only thing, Donna.
That's okay. Yeah. I've got 3 screens, so I just need to make sure that I've got the right one on there. Can you see the Ramsay Academy page on there, guys? Yeah.
I can see your dashboard.
Okay, so you can the Ramsay Academy dashboard.
Oh, is that? I can see a dashboard. Is that the right one? I don't know.
Is that the one you can see? Can you see my mouse moving around it? I can't see, but
what we're looking at is your desktop with your Google icons and Outlook web icons.
Okay, so that's not good then, is it? No. That's not the right one. Let me come out, stop sharing.
That's okay.
And if I go share again.
Yep, that looks good.
So you can see,
yeah.
You can see SharePoint. Yeah. Okay, so if you go into the Ramsay Academy page, and if you click on Clinical Professional Development, and then if you scroll, so this is the main clinical development pages. If you scroll down to the middle there, on the left-hand side, you'll see clinicalskills.net. So if you click on there, you will see all things clinicalskills.net in there. Just move, what's yeah. So a lot of people actually come in and access clinicalskills.net from this page. So what you can do is just click on this button here on the right hand side and it'll take you directly to the clinicalskills.net page. for you to log in. If you scroll down, you'll see all the clinicalskills.net guides, so all the how-to guides, guides for users just to look at their dashboard, managers' reports, my performance, competency checklists, and assessments. So you've got all those little videos on there, which are really useful. And we've also got a poster at the bottom here that you can print off and pop into your coffee rooms in the departments. Down the right hand side, this is just some stuff that we put on there for children's nurses, because they moved over to clinicalskills.net very, very quickly. They were the first speciality group really to move. So the majority of all their competencies now sit on clinicalskills.net. So they go in there, they complete the guide, and then they take the assessment. And there's only one of the children's that hasn't got an assessment attached to it. I can't remember which one it is, Steve. I might talk to you about that actually.
Yeah.
And then this is another how-to video just on the right-hand side. And I think what we'll put on there, Steve, I'll put on your template that you said that the managers then could just complete the template if they've got a lot of people to enroll, and it's probably a lot easier and quicker for you to do a mass upload really, rather than us sitting putting 26 people creating 26 different accounts. So that's basically it.
That's very good. I've not seen that before. It's a very good page. That's very impressive.
Yeah. We're getting really techie in our team now. As I used to be a complete technophobe, and I'm down with the kids now. So, and this is quite good as well. If you click on to list of all guides available, and it's not going to work now, is it? Because I'm not logged in. So if I log in, can't even spell my own name.
I was just going to say, I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to be nice.
Oh dear. And then
Password 123.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's
It's not liking me at the minute. Yeah. So yeah, it should have come up with all the guides, a list of all the guides, and I don't know why it hasn't. Shall I go back again?
Maybe the login was causing problems.
I go back in again just to see. No, it's not come up there. I don't know. I'll have a look at that later, because maybe there's a link broke or something.
Because normally the best thing is to go into guides and then see all guides. And
we had a whole list. So I think these are the organizational links.
They are,
on the side here. And these are ones that we've kind of highlighted. That we wanted everybody to see. The other thing, I'll stop sharing now. The other thing I just wanted to mention was about the local assessments. So at the minute, we're just using the standard assessments. We do have the capacity to create our own assessments. And this is somewhere, we will go down this route eventually, but it's going to take a group of people really, and different people working on different guides really, to create our own assessments. I would ask everybody not to make your own assessments just yet, because what we will want to do is, if we make our own assessments, is to have them agreed by the organisation, by the senior clinical team first, before we start asking people to create a local assessment as opposed to a standard assessment. So it's just a safety net. We want it all signed off really, so that somebody may have done a lot of work on the standard assessment, and then there may just be something in there that maybe isn't quite where it should be. So we would ask that you don't do that at the minute. And that, we will look at that further down the line. At the moment, it's just getting all your teams on there, and making sure that you can navigate around the system, and then we'll start building the skills on there as we go along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a very good point. I mean, I think I said yesterday, actually, some organisations have found that people launched into building local assessments, and there's been a lot of duplication of work and sort of some confusion about what different teams get different things. So it is one of those things you need to plan and structure as an organisation, and then we're here when you actually want to start moving forward, building those and testing them. So there's no harm actually going in and looking what's already there. Get some feel for it. But as Donna says, best not to actually do anything building wise until the plans are in place. So I'm encouraging them to be naughty, aren't I? Sorry about that.
You are. Has anybody got any questions anymore? Do you think you're happy with looking at your own teams? Has anybody looked at their own teams to make sure they've got everybody on there?
Just need to delete a few people longer work here off
my... Oh, Amy, we can't hear you. No, you mute now. You were.
Is that better?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, we could sort of just hear a little voice in the background.
Sorry. I just need to delete a few people that no longer work here off my teams, and also get access to my team at the other hospital, because currently, I don't know if you recall, Donna, Amy Tannant, my senior sister's got access to one hospital, and I've got access to the other, but it'd be great if I can oversee them all.
Yes. Whenever you were doing that, I remember that, Amy. That was right at the very beginning, and we were trying to kind of just start introducing things a little bit, gently, if you like. But I can do that for you today. So it's
that'll be lovely.
Yeah,
so that's Beacon Park Day Surgery Unit I need access to.
So you need Beacon, and then you've already got
got Rowley Hall. The
day surgery, did you say?
It'll be Rowley Hall Ward I've got access to.
And it's Beacon Day
Surgery that I need access to. Yeah.
Okay, because they are a day surgery facility, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that for you in a minute.
Perfect.
Once we're finished, and then that's that one done. Is everybody else okay with looking at their teams? Robin, have you managed to have a wee look? Can't hear you either. You're on mute. You're not on mute, actually. Maybe you're. No.
Oh, weird.
That's a bit odd.
Oh, there we go. No one in
my team is yet. Okay. Yep. So is that because you've looked and you haven't got anybody at all, or it could be that you're not assigned as a manager, and so you're not. Yeah. Do you want me to look at that for you as well? Yeah. So I'll have a wee look at Robin's. And if Robin, what department do you want to manage? Physio, and that is, I guess I should know that actually. Which unit is it? Yes, of course it is. It's Clifton. Right, okay. I'll do that for you in a minute as well. Jane, what about you?
Could you check mine, Donna? Because we haven't, myself and we don't have a ward manager. Myself, there's 2 ward sisters at Park Hill. We split the responsibility. So she's doing the session tomorrow. So will we both be assigned as manager? Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
So we can make you a manager for Park Hill Ward. And then who's the other person?
It's Ganka Kuncheva. Do you want me to spell it?
Yeah.
So it's Ganka Kuncheva, Kuncheva. EVA.
EVA. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll do those for you today, and then when you go in, you'll be able to have a look and see who you've got on there.
Yeah.
Who your direct reports are, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Does
I-
that make?
Can
Yeah.
I just point out one other thing? Because I just had a look at Robin, and you're set up as a manager, but also as a user. It is possible that you can be a manager of one team and a user in a different team. If you don't mind me just sharing your screen quickly, can you see the screen there?
Yes.
Yeah, if you come in and this is what you see, what you need to do is choose which role you want to work in. So if you want to be the manager, click the manager role, then you'll have access to all the reports and all those other bits and pieces. If you wanted just to be a user, in terms of assessments and all the other stuff at the top, it doesn't matter, whether you're signed in as a manager or a user. If you wanted just to be the user, come up here and select role. You can go back to being a user, and then you don't get all the reports and functions like that. So, Robin, it might be that you need to just make sure you're going in as a manager. Okay.
Can we have a quick look at Robin's team? Not that we're going to be able to see, that it's quite small writing. I don't think we'll be able to see anything that
I can.
So there's
There's 2 accounts in there at the moment. So this
right.
is so if I look at, so when you come into this screen, click view all to see everyone. And there's just Robin and one other person in that team at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would assume that there's a lot more people in physio, Robin. So, oh, she's not in Robin's team. Okay, so you need to go in there, and then we can work together if you like, and just cleaning up your teams. So I can work with you if you can share your screen, and I can talk you through what you've got to do, and we can add people, and then we can take people away as well, and that's a start, isn't it? Yeah. And then Mihaela, what about you?
I'll have to check mine and I'll get back to you.
Okay. Amy,
you.
you've got a question?
Yeah, just regarding to what Robin said about somebody not being in her team. So I know you went through transferring people from one team to another. Can I transfer somebody that I haven't got access to their team?
No, you'd need to get the manager of that team would need to do it, or a super user. You can only actually make changes to the users in your teams, not in another team. So you'd need to get the manager for the other one to transfer it. Well, that would be the way you would do it. Is you probably as a super user would be easiest, I would think, because otherwise you'd need someone who could manage both teams to do the transfer. So probably the best bet is to go to a super user on that basis and say, can you transfer these users across to my team? Does that make sense?
Who would know who our super user is for our hospital? Is that something I need to ask in how you do, Donna?
Donna,
okay.
Yeah, Donna's the one.
You.
I mean, we've got a list of we can see the super users on there, but Donna as a super user, you should be able to see who the other super users are. That's going to be the best way, because it's very strict. You can manage the people only in your teams. So if they're outside that team, you can't do anything to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think what we'll do is we will get to the point where we've got a super user at each hospital. That's the easiest way to go. But at the minute, because we're still fairly early on in the implementation of clinicalskills.net, although it's been around for a while, we've not really used it to its full potential as yet. So we're just starting out. So we have all this, there's lots of things that we can do that we don't at the minute. And having super users, at each site would be absolutely brilliant. And then our job is done, if you like, that we're only troubleshooting really in a way, rather than managing everybody. So we need to give the power back that we kind of have taken away, if you like, but it needs to go back again to where it should be. And I think Katie Lee is on there, but I don't know whether she can hear us or not. You're on mute, Katie Lee. I don't know if she might just be in the background there and she can't. Yeah. Okay, so are we okay to finish the call now, but don't forget, you know, Steve has very, very kindly, and he's helped me out on many occasions, believe me. And you know, he's very kindly offered, you know, if anybody's got any, you know, questions or wants help, or even wants to maybe do some training for a group of your teams, maybe your sisters or your seniors, or you know, or even if it's just end user, you know, how do people actually, you know, how do they look for a guide? You know, how do they do an assessment? How can they see their certificate? How can they print off their certificate? You know, things like that, you know, that's possible, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you would
yeah.
be able to help.
Yeah, I work
with
from
that.
home, so I get quite lonely. So it's quite nice to have people to talk to sometimes. But no, if you've got any, you know, questions like that, because it's so easy, we can just jump on a quick 5-minute call, or
Yeah.
often deal with it by email or something like that. So it's great.
Absolutely, but be mindful also of the hub and all those little videos on the hub. You know, if people have got a couple of minutes, you know, even the night staff, you know, if they've got a bit of downtime, you know, they can go in there and have a little look at the videos, etc. And of course, any questions, you've always got us at the Academy that are more than happy to help. Just reach out, really.
Brilliant.
So, Steve, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. There was one thing I was a little disappointed on when Robin couldn't communicate and was typing what she did. I was so hoping it was going to be like speech therapy or something. That'd be great, wouldn't it? But technical problems. So there you go. Great. Well, lovely to see everyone anyway. So and so I'm here if you need any help. And we got another session tomorrow, I think, haven't we, Donna? So
we
we'll do the same thing again. So
yeah, there's a few places tomorrow. So if you've got anybody that wants to join, just get them to enroll. If there's no places, get them to message me, because I think, you know, people are busy, so we do have a few places that, you know, aren't taken up on the day, although they're booked, they're not taken up. So I think I might for tomorrow might overbook a little bit, Steve, just to try and get as many people on as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I've done these with 20 or 30 people on. It's fine. So
oh, fabulous.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Take care, everyone.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.